Hi guys, it's Jamie here, and in today's stash building challenge we're going to be making some very simple pocket booklets. I will be demonstrating them with some leftover printables as well, but for the time being I'm making a very quick masterboard on this large book page, which is actually Russian dictionary. For those of you who aren't aware, a masterboard is simply adding scraps of paper to a background piece of paper. Normally, we would then cut this up and make it into, for example, journal cards. However, this time we are actually keeping the masterboard whole and using it to make the pocket booklet. You can see that I am choosing colourways that go together to make the masterboard as a whole. Off camera, I've made a few masterboards and also found some reasonable sized leftover digital papers, and then cut everything down so they look like a typical journal page in size, that being a standard US letter size or A4, and I have deliberately cut some to be a little bit smaller than that. Before we start the folding part of these pocket booklets, I'm just going to edge my papers with black if I feel they're for a more gothic style journal, and with my more generic papers I will be using Distress Ink Vintage Photo. Now this page has been inked, I'm going to score in the pocket part of the booklet. For each one of these I actually choose different depths of pocket. With this one I come in about 3 centimetres from the left hand side and also the right hand side. Keeping my 2 future pockets on the inside, I simply fold the piece of paper in half. With this version I go a little fancy and cut the corners off those pockets using my plastic template that has a corner cut out of it. However, for total transparency, with the next few that I make, I don't bother to fancy them up by doing the corner cutting thing. Having created some new edges that will be seen by doing the folding and cutting, I'm inking those edges as well. Here I'm just using my fine nib glue to run a bit of glue down the edge of each of those pockets, and repeating the same process on the other side. And here's the first of many pocket booklets. What I've also done off camera is actually, having glued the pockets in place, I then waited for that glue to dry and sewed around the edges. However, that is not essential. I also decide that I'm going to decorate the front of this pocket booklet. Therefore, I'm using some of my scrap ephemera from previous kits or freebies and deciding how I'm going to collage. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you will know that I like to collage in terms of 3 items, or on larger spaces, sometimes 5. In other words, I work in odd numbers. This pocket booklet has been made from a spare piece of printable from our Timeless Treasure papers, which you can find in our Etsy shop, linked in the video description. I do really love these printables because they certainly enhance any generic junk journal. I have a few of the leftover poppy fussy cuts from that pack, so I'm adding them to the Timeless Treasure papers, which just shows how well our different packs mix and match with each other, because we do actually have a poppy kit and I think poppy papers as well. Of course, sometimes you don't have to do a whole collage to decorate one of these pocket booklets. For example, with this one, I'm just going to add a simple central focus point and bring attention to that picture by outlining it with the black ink so that it really pops against that Tim Holtz style masterboard background. I'm just going to show you some of the designs that have been done so far with these pocket booklets, and I have used a lot of the Tim Holtz ephemera with them. You can see some have pure book page in the centre, some are actually made with printables. I think that ones are Klimt. From the value deals, here you can see a blue Masterboard style one. I've even allowed book page with just scrap paper to show through. That's also a lovely look. Hopefully you can see some of the sewing. I could zoom in a little bit for that, I suppose. I do hope that post-editing zoom in is helping you to see some of the sewing. It's not very easy because I do like a grungy look, and these have been sewn either in a brown thread or a black thread depending on whether I think it's more Gothic style or generic Victorian style. As I do have a ridiculous amount of papers and printables in my scrap box, and the same with my fussy cuts and ephemera, I thought I might as well try and make some ephemera that's more miniature in style, which will fit into the pockets of those pocket booklets. So what I'm doing here is selecting some of the fussy cuts and potentially putting them together to make a small journal card, and other times I simply back a fussy cut with a piece of paper just to make it a little bit stronger as a very tiny piece of ephemera. I'm leaving gaps between the designs so that I can cut around them to make small bits of ephemera. As that still isn't quite as strong or as thick as I'd like it to be, I'm also going to back that piece of printable with some book page as well. Here's everything I made for those pockets. Now it all just needs trimming up and perhaps the edges inking for that finished look. Here we are, ready to put everything together and add to our stash builder boxes for future journals. Simply putting some of these quickly made journal cards and tiny bits of ephemera into those booklet pockets. As usual, I'm ending this video with some close-ups of the design so you can see both the exterior and interior and how they really do enhance your junk journals with something unique that's generally but not always been made from scraps and book pages. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll be back with another stash builder challenge for you very, very soon. Bye.